Hello, we're sisters like Angel.
And AllyCat, where we highlight individuals making a difference in their community. Yes! My name is AllyCat Castle. I'm a professional media makeup artist, and I'm also a YouTube content creator for AllyCat Castle. And of course, our very special guest for tonight, no other than for Transgender Awareness Month, is Miss Blossom C. Brown. But before that, back to you, Angel.
Yeah, so I'm Angel. I'm a registered nurse. I'm an actress. And I'm the sister of Ally. And as what Ally said, we have Miss Blossom C. Brown today. I love her. I'm a fan. You guys probably have seen her laugh at Starlit Diner. And she's an amazing person. Ally, you wanted to add something?
Of course, that iconic laugh at Starlit Diner, episode 3 with Miss Blossom C. Brown. Don't forget, we actually have that episode, like the whole episode series, right, on Sisters Like Angel and Ally. But again, for Transgender Awareness Month, a very special guest, Miss Blossom C. Brown, and her name Blossom speaks so much of her. She is a trans activist. She is a producer. She is an actress and a motivational speaker. And of course, a professional tarot card reader, no other than Miss Blossom C. Brown.
Woo! What is up, ladies? How are you?
We missed you.
I miss you more. Oh,
Can you
I
please-
miss you more.
Can you please tell our viewers who Miss Blossom C. Brown in a nutshell?
Ooh, she's a lot of things. I like to say actress, producer, motivational speaker, professional tarot reader, magician sometimes. I feel like I am like every freaking where, but I'm so humble, so grateful. I'm originally from the birthplace of blues in the Mississippi Delta. Greenwood, Mississippi was where I was born, raised in Jackson, Mississippi. And I graduated from Mississippi University for Women, where I was the first Black trans woman to graduate from my university with a degree in public health education. And the world kind of got to know me a little bit more in season 1 of Caitlyn Jenner's show, I Am Kate, and for my appearance on Ellen in season 13, which was kind of like the gateway to like entertainment, I guess. And then, you know, like a year later, moved out here to Los Angeles, and I work at a nonprofit full time. I do all of those things that I listed earlier, and it's just, my life is crazy, but I love my crazy life.
Well, we love your exciting life. Oh my God.
Oh, thank you. It's just a mess, but it's all good.
So before we dig into the beautiful, inspiring story of Miss Blossom C. Brown, because it's Transgender Awareness Month, Miss Blossom, can you please tell us one thing or that you really love about being transgender?
One thing that I would say I love about being trans is that I can show up as my true, authentic self with no regrets. That took over 12, 13 years for me to be able to do that, to like heal and to really come into my truth. And I wear that so proudly because we have to show up in spaces where we're not usually allowed and usually where we're not seen. And so for me, I like to wear the trans on my back because my identity is so important, and people need to see that, you know, we're here and we're not just trans. We're your doctors, we're your lawyers, we're your teachers, we're your nurses, we're your healers. We're so many other things versus just being trans. And so just showing up is just kind of like my thing.
So let's go back to your childhood. So when did you realize that you were special, that there's like something inside you? So can you please tell us like a little bit of the nutshell, and how did you come about, both with a little bit of the challenges and the triumphs of you transitioning then?
Yeah, I think it started back in Head Start. I think I've always known as a kid that something was different about me. I remember always wanting to use the girls' restroom, always wanted to play with my sister's dolls. I remember in kindergarten, I told my music teacher to call me Brittany instead of my dead name. And she actually did it, but, you know, students there was like, that's not her, that's not, well, you know, back then they said he, that's not his name or whatever. But like, I always knew something was different. I just didn't know that there was a word for my difference. And I'm the oldest of 4. And so I had both my mom and dad, and I kind of lived in a somewhat strict household where a lot of responsibility would fall on me. So if like my siblings messed up at something, I kind of felt like I would always get the blame for it. But, you know, we lived in a very strict household where, you know, men had to do men things, women had to do women things. But, you know, I was kind of one of those type of kids that kind of broke the norm a little bit. I was kind of always been a little bit more driven. So, you know, that was just kind of like one thing. But just growing up, I just knew there was such a disconnect with my life as far as my inside matching my outside. But because in Jackson, Mississippi, I went to a predominantly Black high school, a lot of that stuff was like you couldn't do that. You couldn't really do, like I couldn't come to school dressed as my true authentic self because number one, I probably would have got kicked out. Number two, I would have been ridiculed so much. It just wasn't even funny. And so there was just a lot of things that I kind of hid to myself. And it wasn't really until about college, like about freshman year of college, that I made the decision that I did not want to live 20, 30, 40 more years not standing in my truth. So I secretly started taking hormones. But what I was doing was I was ordering them from a website in Europe and having them shipped over. And so I was hiding it from my mom because I was still living with my mom at the time. And so, you know, a girl was trying to do that. Girl was going out the house dressing as, you know, myself, but then having to come home as something else. It was really, really difficult for me. And the turning point in that situation was I had moved out of my mom's house and I was working at a health food store. And what happened was every time it would rain, that health food store would flood. And so one time it rained, the flood waters came swooshing in like a tsunami, flipped me off the floor. And I ended up knocking my head on the naked floor in about 4 or 5 inches of water. And so I was knocked unconscious. Luckily, the hospital was right across the street from where I worked. And it was then when my parents came into the emergency room that I kind of revealed to them that I had been living this life for quite a while and that I was just hiding. And, you know, what was so interesting was my mom was so accepting. Like that was really the time we opened up that conversation. They were much more accepting than what I thought. And that's kind of like what began the change. At work, even going to college, going to school, you know, I came out as trans. I was also trying to get in nursing school at the time as well, too. Mainly because of my gender identity, they didn't let me in nursing school. But the thing is, though, in Mississippi, the way that they try to masquerade it is if, like, it's all about grades. Because I had the grades. I had the ACT score, but they still would not let me in. And a good portion of that was because I was trans. And that was mostly at the community college level. So then when I jumped to the
Like what you're saying is that they wouldn't blatantly say that they're discriminating you about being trans, but they're going to find loopholes so they can discriminate you for accepting you to that school.
Exactly. And they played it very well. So even when I went to the 4-year side, because I did 2 years in community college and then 2 more at the university level, I got put on the waiting list, but I still didn't get in. And what happened was because I had maxed out of prerequisites, I had to switch my major to public health education. I ended up falling in love with public health and I studied it. I made like straight A's, few B's. Like, it was like, I came out of public health so well. Around that time, I had started doing work with the Human Rights Campaign. I had basically started telling them what had happened to me as far as like nursing school. And what happened was one night we were planning for Trans Day of Remembrance, and they asked me to stay on the call a little bit longer where they offered to fly me to Washington, D.C. to kind of share my story in front of 3,000 people. Wow. And I was afforded that opportunity. I had never been on a plane. I was 28 years old, and I took the opportunity. And, you know, the way people received me was just it was so amazing, and it was so beautiful. And what happened was Jeff Old, who was president of E, and his husband were in the audience at that time. And so what happened was they reached back out to HRC to reach out to me and asked did I want to fly out to San Francisco with other trans women to speak to Caitlin about her situation and whatnot and what it's like being a trans woman. Caitlin had just did the interview with Diane Sawyer, and I was like, well, this is a great opportunity. Why not? And so it was like me, Angelica Ross, who else was it? Leia, who worked at HRC, and a bunch of others, trans women of color that kind of flew out to San Francisco, and we had that conversation with her. Shandy, Jenny Borland, all the cast of Iron Kate, like we sat down and we had that conversation with Kate, and how it played out on TV was basically, I shared about my struggle, and I shared about being a big fan of Ellen, which I was, and they ended up surprising me with going on Ellen to meet her. And so, being able to meet her was such a dream come true, because ever since like the 90s, like she was someone that I definitely looked up to, because I remember when she had her TV show and she came out as gay, they canceled the TV show. And, Matthew Shepard had just passed away at that time. And then I was loving the work that she's done with Matthew Shepard. And then, I know Matthew's parents, Dennis and Judy, who are so amazing and love them to death. And so, all of that was part of like the inspiration. And, ever since then, life has just it's been crazy. And moving out here to LA and just kind of having my foot in the door because of that realm, I'm just kind of creating my own abundance right now and what that looks like. And I can honestly say, y'all, I moved to LA 4 years ago, and all that stuff happened 5 years ago. And within that time frame, so much has changed. My focus has changed. I believe parts of my purpose have shifted. And, I'm just more in that direction right now. And people ask me all the time, did you finally get into nursing school? And the gag is, find out on my YouTube channel.
Oh.
Yes, of course. And can you please tell them your YouTube channel, Miss Blossom?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is coming back. It's so funny because I have like 199 subscribers, which I'm excited about. I've had that channel for 5 years, but it's definitely going to be a place where I'll be doing talks and I'll be doing my tarot on my page. So Tell All Blossom is the name of my YouTube channel. So please subscribe, but it's definitely going to be amazing. And I just want to kind of I'm now looking more to create healing spaces and creating spaces where, I can have conversations from a like higher spiritual level, because I'm a very spiritual person. And so, being able to put my activism into that and just kind of mash everything together is what I'm really trying to achieve. So, y'all, I tell y'all, it's been crazy. It's been a crazy ride. I've met so many amazing, abundant people that have helped me on this journey, and I wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
I'm gonna ask you the description. I'm gonna add it on the description below, like the link to your YouTube channel.
Okay.
You shared so many great information there. I kind of want to go back a little bit about, since you're a motivational speaker and you mentioned that you were asked for the first time to speak in front of thousands of people. How was that experience? Have you spoken to that many people before that day or night? And how was that experience, like in terms of the preparation, in terms of being able to speak in front of everybody? Tell us a little bit about how you were at that time.
Yeah, it was insane. It was so insane because that was my first time, like really, really public speaking. And I got to share the stage with Gina Rosero, she's so amazing. I love her, my dear sister. That was my first time ever doing it. And to be able to share the stage with her. And it's so funny because my birthday is literally a day before hers. And so we're both Libra, Scorpios. And so it's just like, I freaking love her. But she made me feel so welcome, so at home. She's like, you got this, don't worry about it. And, it was such a powerful, powerful thing because I was not expecting people to receive it like that. Prepping for that, HRC helped pay for my dress, helped pay for my makeup, do all of that because I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know how to fly on a plane. I had never flown on a plane, and I was 28 at the time. Growing up, we didn't fly on airplanes. We traveled everywhere via a van or a car. So, that experience was different, but, it kind of broke the ground for more speaking gigs because I started picking up more and more opportunities through HRC, volunteering more with them. And honestly, I really do give credit to them for like the platform that I have. They kind of helped lay down that foundation for me to stand on and kind of, motivate and advocate. And activism was not something that I expected to fall into my lap.
I can feel it on how you speak. Like I can feel it.
It was just not. And I had to learn that, okay, it's in my lap now. What do I do with it? Because what's happening to me is happening to other trans people within the education system, where I lived in a very conservative state, such as Mississippi. So I knew that people would get away with things. And so it was always my voice, my throat chakra that was carrying me to where I need to be. And so, yeah, that was just a crazy experience though, but I'm so humble and I'm so grateful that it happened.
Ally.
So I want to ask, because you've basically been so blessed with so much opportunity, you've always, of course, seen like the bright side of everything. Is this the reason why you also wanted to, is that also the reason why you started to produce and became a producer?
Yeah, and it's so funny. I feel like that also came into my lap too. So we were part of the collective now more than ever. Angel, you know what I'm talking about. And, with Rain Valdez, who is such an amazing, beautiful soul. I love my dear sister because I felt like she gave me opportunity in that too. It's basically a collective of people now more than ever artists, a collective of artists coming together and kind of creating that magic. And, it started with like script reads, and then when we started creating projects or whatnot, Rain kind of started plugging us in, and I learned kind of like the back ropes of everything. And then when Sarah, who is on Starlight Diner, what's her character, Emma?
Emma, yeah.
Emma,
Emma,
yes.
who we know is Emma. See, she's who I love so much. It wasn't really until Lit Girl where Sarah kind of offered, she was just like, come on board. And, being able to do that, I learned how to produce. And I was just like, wow, like my first producer credit. I'm learning a lot of great things behind the scenes. And, it's amazing. Acting has always been something that I've wanted to do, and creating behind the scenes as well, because I grew up in the age of soap operas. Soap operas is still my thing. I always wanted to work on a soap opera. Plus, when I was a kid, I would play with my toys like they were a soap opera, like drama. I'm talking about Ken was sleeping with Barbie in the bed. It was a mess, honey. But I have always, when I look back at that now, I've always been a producer and I've always been a creator. I think for me, what has happened is I have let fear, something that I've struggled with for so long, kind of stop me from moving further in that. But 2021 is a new year. So definitely you're going to see some more content coming from me. And then also, being here in Hollywood, it's hard trying to kind of learn like some things behind the scenes, because, entertainment can be a very shady business. And if you're not in the collective, or you're not like hip or whatever like that, people may think that you're a threat, and you're really not. People also think that you may be riding a coattail, but you're not. And, people just have that really scarcity mindset here. So, there's always delays and everything, but I believe delays happen for a reason. And so, I'm definitely going to break through all of that and really be able to create what I need to create. Also, because I have a busy life, I work a full-time job, and then having to do everything else or whatever, I feel like I stretch myself thin, and I don't have representation. Like, I don't have a manager or an agent yet. I'm manifesting that. It's going to come to me when it's going to come to me. But, it's hard being one person trying to do everything. So, y'all, I'm just learning balance, and I'm just learning that, I can create. And I am a creator, and I'm going to create.
Nice.
Well, I'm so happy for you, and I love that drive. I'm definitely sure we can't wait for what you're going to produce and show us on 2021. So please also tell us, you being a professional tarot card reader. So we really want to know that in a nutshell too.
Okay, yes. So believe it or not, my mother was a professional tarot reader. And so I think my mother gags now that I do it, because it's a legacy that's been passed down to me. I got more into tarot earlier this year, especially during quarantine. Tarot was something that I started to find interest in. I would study it every day. I kid you not, I would wake up every day before I go to work and study it, and make sure I study it when I go home. And the thing is, though, when it comes to tarot, it's about really strengthening your intuition. You know what I mean? Like, I am very much an intuitive psychic medium, very much so. I can connect with the ancestors. I am very much psychic. I can very much, tell what's happening. And what I do implement is a little bit of life coaching into my tarot readings, even though I'm not a life coach. And basically, when people get a tarot reading with me, I basically, first of all, we talk about your life path number, and we just kind of go into details a little bit about that. So your life path number is the number that's assigned to your life based on your date of birth. It basically talks about your personality attributes and just basically who you are, the types of behavior that you have, and just, you'll find, because I'm into numerology and astrology as well, you'll definitely find that one single number can really carry your life, which is why they call it a life path number. And then basically with me, I do 1 full hour reading. So either I'll say, if the client wants to see what messages Spirit have, we can do that. Or if you need clarity on particular questions, you can ask that too. So, whatever happens within that 1 hour is up to the client. And I just roll with the punches. Sometimes I've had ancestors come through and throw the cards, whatever spirits are wanting to come through. It, for some people it can be very mystical, but my tarot readings are healing. They're about healing. So, people were skeptical, but people become more interested because of the style that I use in my tarot. And then finally, what happens is I give you affirmations from Spirit. Like the first time you come see me, I give you 3. And then like any other time after that, I'll just give you 1 that kind of just like marinate on. And, I just do it like that. And so, a girl had to raise her prices, but I'm going to tell you now, beginning next year, if you're transgender, non-conforming, and non-binary, I give discounts, of course, but my readings are going to be starting at $100. But trust me, it's so going to be worth it because we discuss a lot. We get down to the core. I get down to the core. We pop open that core. We put some good energy in there and begin to lay down that foundation and begin to build. And so $100 is definitely worth it when I'm done with you. So, it's going to be, I see the abundance coming in that. I'm just learning how to get things off the ground because entrepreneurship and stuff like that was not my thing. It's like I'm discovering more and more about myself that I used to go ew about. You know what I mean?
So earlier this year, actually, we were working on a project together, the Trans Vagina Diaries, and you kind of read something on me, which actually gave me a lot of goosebumps. But interestingly, whatever you told me, it actually carried through the whole year for me. It was so interesting. It's not even something with the whole tarot and everything. You just kind of like, I feel this. And I'm like, okay. You did ask for permission. You did say, just tell me if it's like freaks you out or whatever. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I love to hear it. And that's so amazing. And I'm glad that you're actually tapping into that, talent that you have for this year. And of course, the entrepreneurship kind of comes with it.
Because a lot of people didn't know this, but it actually started with 12 Black trans brothers and sisters of ours, where I was in this Facebook group, this like trans Facebook group. I guess it was like a Facebook group maybe for like dating or just vibing or whatever like that. And I was like, we were looking for more activities to do within the group. And I was like, I do tarot, so why not introduce them to tarot? And I kid you not, one night I was in that group for 3 hours straight, and I gave 12 of our trans brothers and sisters tarot readings. 12. And that's where it all started. A lot of people did not know I was doing this. These were trans folks who are not necessarily in community, that don't have a blue check mark. These were people that I just felt like needed to hear what was in store for them, what they needed to do to improve in their life. And that's really how my tarot took off. And then people from entertainment start hitting me up wanting tarot readings, and people in this genre want readings and stuff like that. And so I'm just having to learn to create that abundance, which is why I'm going to have to move over to YouTube. I do tarot readings on Instagram. I try to be a little consistent with that. I've been slacking a little bit, but this week I'm definitely going to be on it, especially with like the presidential election. And ironically, I did a reading for that. And of course, it did say Joe Biden was going to win. And it also talked about how Donald Trump was not going to let go of the situation. I actually posted it, the card on my Instagram just the other day. And so, what's interesting is, and I'm going to probably do a video about this. As people are moving more towards a spiritual realm or just kind of finding themselves, finding what they want in life, you have to be very careful of who you follow, who you try to seek, because everybody is not who they say they are. And we also must remember that all medicine is not good medicine. Some medicine can make you sick. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, trusting your intuition, listening to that gut feeling, intuition, is what will kind of guide you. So that's just kind of like where we are. I know I got into a whole schmeal, but, that's just basically it.
So I have a quick question. What can you advise those people who are religious, but who very much want to do or consult a professional tarot card reader?
Mm-hmm. I think you have to do what your heart desires, because everybody doesn't think the same. A lot of people come from different backgrounds where it's just unacceptable. And people do tarot differently. Some people use it for black magic. Other people do it for other religious things. I just choose a more holistic healing approach with it, but it just really depends on how people kind of view it and do it. And so, if you want to do something, I say go for it. If you are able to, only you will know when it's time. I think some people don't want to get into it because of safety concerns. People are afraid of being stigmatized. I had to get to a point where I didn't care. You can call me a witch. You can call me whatever you want. I don't care. I don't care. Like, it's part of my purpose. It's a part of my destiny. So why can I not do this? And it's been so interesting, y'all, because I started seeing other trans people start doing tarot or just kind of like talking about tarot with me. And I find it fulfilling, actually. I love that, because we need more tarot readers. I don't want to be the only one. And there's room for all of us. And I get excited when I get around other tarot readers, because like, I can't read myself, so you can read me for me. But like, it's a very spiritual community, and we need community. So I get really, really excited, and hopefully it more will come out and be able to make some magic happen.
And if I could just ask as well, it's Transgender Awareness Month. You've enlightened us so much with the things that we need to do, or calling in life, or whatever your heart tells you. What advice can you give, or what words can you say to our community, especially the trans community, the LGBTQ community, that's been longing for answers, that's been looking for some certain type of hope? What can you say to them?
Yeah. I always want to tell our transgender, non-conforming, and non-binary community, do not give up, even when the world treats you like shit. I'm not sure if I can say that word, but, truth be told, especially during this administration, we were the ones that were attacked the most, where our rights were taken away. Trans people couldn't necessarily go into the bathroom of their choice without feeling harassed. Trans people could not go into homeless shelters because of this administration. Trans people could also be discriminated against in the healthcare system based on religious views. And in the healthcare system, that's where a lot of our life-affirming surgeries are, our gender-affirming surgeries, which are life-saving are. And, for the Trump administration to even try to put that in place, it was detrimental for us. And so trans people have been the constant target of this administration. I also believe firmly that we are the most resilient, which is why we're given the toughest journey. Not every trans person is passable. Not every trans person wants to be on hormones. Like, our transness shows up in so many different ways. I do believe that we have to stop dividing ourselves within the trans community. I feel like I, as a binary trans person, and this is just an example, should have no business telling somebody who's non-binary that they're not trans or policing their transness. I personally do not have time for that. You know, how your transness shows up is how it should show up. If it shows up in a more fluid, in a more gender fluid way, I'm all right with that. Like, who cares? But because of like the media and because of how we have this mindset that trans is just binary, you know, it says a lot. It says a lot that we still have a lot of work to do. One thing I also wish that we stopped doing in the trans community is really get out of this scarcity mindset that there's not enough. I feel like we're always given crumbs, and we have to start overlooking the crumbs and see the full course meal that sits in front of us, where I don't have to step over somebody just to get to where I need to go. I don't have to do that. We can all uplift each other together. And that's just healing a lot of work within ourselves. But I would want to really say that we got this. And we have to remember that we're here for a reason. We all have a purpose. And we need to begin to handle our business. If there's something that you want to do, whether that's in the arts or in nonprofit or, you know, in the spiritual realm, whatever it is that you want to do, go for it. Do not let anyone tell you that you cannot do what you want just because you're trans. We have to let go of that mindset.
I love everything that you're saying, like in terms of not stepping on each other, lifting everybody up. Because I also believe in that like your success is also my success. It will be the success of the transgender community, and it will open up more opportunities for all of us.
Absolutely. Like both of you, like you're a nurse and then Ally's a professional makeup artist on television. Like, it's like we're thriving in so many different ways. Like, trans people are going to continue to show up where we're least expected. And we have to make sure that cis people see us so much more than just our transness.
Mm-hmm. I agree. The alarm went off a little bit a while ago. It doesn't mean we're done, but do you have any specific questions, Ally, that you want to add?
Well, Miss Blossom C. Brown encapsulated everything. I'm going to take all those advice in my heart, and I cannot wait to meet her and do a tarot reading. So I'm super excited for that. So I'm super, super looking forward to that. So again, how about, you know what? Do you want to give like a shout out or anyone to the community, to whoever it is that who helped you along the way to where you are now?
Yeah, I just really want to take the time to thank every single soul that has supported me in any fashion, shape, or form. You know, the educators that helped me when I was going through college, helped me get to where I needed to go. My trans brothers and sisters that have held me accountable, that have taught me so much, that believe in me, like my family, my friends. Like, I just feel so abundant in that way. And, you know, I just really thank everybody and just know that this was not done in vain.
I do have one additional question. So since you're very active in the community and in uplifting the community, we have some viewers who are not transgender people, who are not very active in the community. How do you think can they contribute in being a support for our community?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always say it's about educating yourself first. You know, trans people are not your thesaurus. They're not your dictionary. They're not your encyclopedia. Trans people are people. And the thing is, if you want to know and understand the trans experience, you must also do research on your own as well. And then if you need clarification, I feel like that's when you should approach a transgender nonconforming or non-binary person for clarification. Because I feel like it lets that trans person know, okay, you're trying. You're actually trying. Because what tends to happen is cis people tend to ask trans people for their labor and not pay them. That's a serious problem. And so when you put up that barrier and that boundary of that, of actually, you know, pay me for my work, then it's a different thing. So always pay trans people and do the research on yourself, do the research yourself, and then come back around and then like get clarification if you need be so. I think that's really just an important thing that we have to begin to make normal to do.
Yeah. So, so for our viewers, we always ask them 3 quick tips: one for beauty, one for health, and one for self-care.
Okay. I would always say 1, moisturize, get that skin glowing, feel your zing. And what was the second one?
Health.
For health?
Healthcare.
Yeah, so for health, I would honestly say, you know, eat a good balanced meal. Like, you know, eating the right foods help give you energy. And energy, and you always want to put out good energy, because guess what? It gets recycled back into even better energy. And when you put bad energy out there, guess what? It gets recycled back into bad energy. And so just be very mindful of like the foods you eat, exercise, do what you need to do to kind of like keep that energy flowing. And then for self-care, honestly, I love meditation. I think meditation brings answers. Meditations help get you grounded, gets you aligned. And I think all of us should practice meditation a little bit more. I think that we all work busy schedules and we have a lot going on. But again, meditation keeps us grounded so we can do our better, so we can do our jobs better and produce better, create better. And, you know, it's just about putting the self first. So my Mars is in Aquarius in the first house in astrology. So I'm always thinking about the collective. Aquarius think more about the collectives versus Leo, which is the opposite, which thinks more about themselves. So I have to work on that, you know, focusing a little bit more on myself and not just other people. But it's a continuous process.
Oh, I love it. Anything you want to promote or any last words to our audience?
Yeah, so y'all please follow me on Instagram at Blossom C. Brown and also at Tell All Blossom. That's my tarot page. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Tell All Blossom. It is got some cool, fun stuff coming.
Nice. Ally?
Well, thank you so much, Miss Blossom C. Brown. The day I met you, I'm not sure if you remember, was
I
in
remember.
a convention here
Yeah.
in Washington, D.C., which is a city where I live now. Isn't that crazy? Like how
Yeah.
everything is coming in full circle as well. So I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, I love you so much. You blossomed not just for yourself, but you blossomed us, the rest of the community, and the rest of the world. And I want you to know that I know that this is not the last time. We will have more projects to come together as a community. And we're wishing you all the very best because you deserve the best.
Thank you, my love. And I will talk to you all soon. I love you both dearly.
Thank you very much, Blossom. I love you. I miss you. And it's always been a pleasure hearing from you and hearing your story. You're so amazing. You're so inspirational. Thank you for being our special guest tonight here at Sisters Like Angel and Ally. And to everybody watching, please like, comment, subscribe, and please share with everybody. And please be kind to everyone. Bye.
AllyCat's Gender Month. Don't forget AllyCat Castle on YouTube as well. Bye.